Hey, good morning, everyone. Mr. Smith here, about to go through released EOC question number 49. I'm going to use Desmos to completely solve this problem, and let's go and get started. So let me go ahead and share my screen. And so I just copied and pasted the released EOC question right here as a note. And it simply states, what is the midpoint of the longest side of the triangle with vertices 1, 4, 3, 4, and 3, 6? Um, so first I'm going to do, I'm just going to plot my points. So I'm going to have 1, 4. Actually, before I do that, I actually want to adjust my grid. I apologize. I'm going to close that out and let's adjust our grid. So to do that, I'm going to click on the little wrench right here, which is graph settings. I'm going to turn off the minor grid lines, and I'm going to count by ones. I'm going to type in ones for both steps, one for my X and one for my Ys. All right, so that looks a lot better. Once I have my grid set up for my coordinate plane, then I'm going to go ahead and start plotting my points. So the first point they gave us was 1, 4. I'm going to label that A. The next point they gave us was 3, 4. I'm going to label that B. And the last point they give us is 3, 6. So 3, 6. I'm going to label that C. So here's our triangle A, B, and C. So I have 1, 4, I have 3, 4, and I have 3, 6. I'm just going to drag this over so I can see it a little bit better. And so looking at it from C to B, it just so happens that it's a vertical line. So we can check how many units long that is. So to get from C to B, we know that that is going to simply be 2 units, because we can just count that. 1, 2. So I know that's going to be 2 units long. From A to B, also note that it's 2 units long. So remember, if it's horizontal or vertical, we can just simply count to determine the length of that side. So we can see the triangle better. I'm going to go ahead and connect my points. So to connect the points, I'm going to make a table. So I hit the plus, go down the table. Our first point was 1 and 4. Our next point was 3, 4. And our third point was 3 and 6. So they're still not connected. So I'm going to click on the gear. I'm going to click on my red circle beside Y1. And I'm going to click beside lines. I'm going to check that on. So as you can see, it connected from A to B, from B to C, but I need to connect the C to A. So in order to do that, my first point where we started from, so I started 1, 4, 3, 4, 3, 6. Now we need to go back to 1, 4. I'm going to put 1, 4 right here. Bam, so there's my triangle. So on this triangle, we have this length, which is 2. We have this length, which is 2. We could just count those because, again, they were horizontal and straight vertical. Now I have to find the length of AC, just to make sure that that is the longest side. I'm pretty sure it is, but we just want to verify. So in order to do that, we draw that imaginary triangle. So I'm going to draw me a little imaginary triangle here on the outside. So here's my little imaginary. So my vertical measurement is 2, and my horizontal measurement is 2. So all I'm going to do, I'm going to use Pythagorean. So I'm going to square a squared. So I'm going to have 2 squared plus another 2 squared. So that's my a plus b squared, a squared plus b squared. is equal to 8. So we know 8 is equal to c squared. And now we just take the square root of that. So I'm going to take the square root of that. And we get 2.8. So I now know from A to C is 2.8. So this length right here is 2.8. So we have 2, 2, and 2.8. Now, if I go back to the actual problem itself, remember, we're trying to find the midpoint of the longest side. So we know AC is our longest side. So to find that midpoint, we need to add the x values, divide by 2, and then add the y values, divide by 2. So I'm going to be looking at A and C. So A was 1,4, and C was 3,6. So my x values for A is going to be 1 plus 4. My y values for A and C are going to be 4 plus 6. Remember, we still need to divide our x values by 2. So I'm going to highlight that. Divide it by 2. I'm going to highlight my y values and divide that by 2. So if you notice, that is nowhere near in the middle, right? So when we go back and we look at what happened, right? Because I'm always a firm believer in looking back at what we did. So when we look at the x values, right? And we're looking at A and C, I have 1 and 4. When I look at this table, remember this is point A, this is point B, and this is point C. So there's my AX, and there's my CX. So I'm supposed to be adding 1 and 3. But if we scroll on down, if you notice, I had 1 and 4. I'm going to change that to a 3 because the two x values we're adding is going to be that 1 and that 3. And the two y values, let's just double check, is 4 and 6. I'm going to scroll on down. You notice we're adding 4 and 6. All right, so that's perfect. And now when we look at it, right, we can tell that, yeah, that looks good. Now to get that ordered pair, we just click label. I'm going to clear out the other writing. And we can see that the midpoint is 2, 5. And that's our answer. So our answer for this problem, I'll put a little note. Midpoint of longest side is 2, 5. And that'll be our solution. That's it. So I agree there are some things that we could probably assume. So like we can assume this is 2, this is 2, and we could assume that from A to C, it's definitely going to be the longest side, and we didn't necessarily need to use distance formula to prove that that's the longest side, but it's always a good practice. It's always a good practice to go ahead and draw it, because if I hadn't drawn this and I just tried to do the midpoint formula, if me, a teacher, can accidentally put a 4 here, then you as a student could also accidentally put a 4 there. But you know, this is a alarm ringer, a bell ringer, right? That's not right. It's not even on the line. So that's why I highly recommend you take time to plot the points, to trace in your triangle so you can actually see exactly what's going on to make sure you're answering the question correctly. I greatly appreciate your time. Hope y'all have a great day, and we will see you next time.